Whether you're building a house or a kitchen cabinet, there's a 99% chance you're going to be cutting plywood, and chances are you're going to be using a circular saw to do the job. There's two kinds of plywood: construction grade plywood that can be a little rough, and finished grade plywood for furniture and cabinets where you want the cuts to be really smooth. Here's tips on how to do both of those jobs just right. Whatever kind of plywood you're going to cut, it all starts with selecting the right kind of blade. You can buy a plywood cutting blade. I just don't like to use them. I like a nice sharp 24-tooth carbide blade, and if you use it right, you can make all the cuts you need. It's important to set the saw blade the right depth. Too deep, you're dragging a lot of extra blade through the plywood. Too shallow, you risk not cutting it through all the way. I like to set mine about 1/4 inch below the bottom of the plywood for a nice crisp cut. It's important to support the whole piece of plywood when you cut. I like to do it on the floor using extruded foam as the backer board. If storage is a little bit of a problem, you can make a hinge out of duct tape. I like this method because I can crawl right across it, the plywood is fully supported, and when I'm through with the cut, the pieces don't snap off at the end. When you're cutting veneer face plywood, always cut with the good side down. That way the teeth of the blade are going to be pushing the veneer into the plywood core rather than kind of punching and busting it out. If you need two good sides, go ahead and mark your cutting line and then go back over it using a straight edge and a sharp utility knife to score all the way through the veneer. It may take a couple of passes. Then when you're through, go ahead and make your cut on the scrap line so any splintering will occur there, and your good piece will have a nice crisp edge. When accuracy isn't as critical, you can use your finger as a ripping guide. Go ahead and mark your line, line the blade up with the mark, set your finger right, and go. Sometimes you have to make a cut in the middle of the panel. In that case, you have to make a plunge cut. Line up the notch in your circular saw with the marks on your plywood, pull back the blade guard, pull the trigger, and slowly lower the blade into the plywood. This can be tricky, so hold on tight. I've cut miles of plywood over the last 40 years using these techniques, and I've had a lot of success. Next time you're cutting plywood, give these tips a shot.